though, feedback on the literature review. I like to give oral feedback on the literature review, just kind of touch on some different things. The first thing I always like to look at is a format, because that's so important. Man, here you go right away. There's that synthesis I was talking about last night, so that's a good part, because that's such an important part of the whole project. The looks good, and the references should be on a separate page is all. This looks good. The DOI number, the italics, the DOI numbers again. Now here's where that's a DOI number with the anchor still in it there. 2013, 2015. So you've got some good research here. So the first thing I like to look at is the format. Yours looks good. So I want to look at the paper rather quickly, I know, but just to get some general ideas here. International Curriculum for Students with Autism and Access to General Curriculum. Multiple number of students, an increase, always watch your capitalization there, are being placed in general education classrooms. That's 2016. 1997, individuals with disabilities. What a profound impact that's had. Students studies, other studies. So there you go. Doing a good job of different perspectives and giving the overview. According to the studies, according to the researchers, students are provided, according to, and as soon as you say that, that's a good place to put in your citation, the synthesis citation. Which studies? I imagine it's these three, so put that there. And then you always want to avoid starting multiple sentences the same way. Small point, generals have no definitive answer, and that's based on what? Down here. The one study, 3 different strategies were presented. These strategies have established general curriculum, but these are not. So I'm looking up here, just a small point, but when you make this statement, they have no definitive answer, that's a great rationale, but where does that work in there? In another study, and again, just say, in a study by Chang and Lin, and also, or researchers, just say researchers have studied, even though direct instruction is a positive, all studies. That's great synthesis there. What does it mean? Always follow that with your own connection. So going back, what is your project going to be? What are you going to do about this? Are you in a position to write an instructional curriculum and implement it? Or are you in a position to implement best practices in your classroom that might improve this and help other teachers do this? So this is the best practices type of statement here. So making that clear, exactly what you intend to do, will help you. But the literature review itself, I think, is well. Most of the research, and again, you want to avoid that, as specific as you are. And I know what you're doing. It's a good idea. You're doing what I asked you to do here. How does this relate? And so you're trying to go through and make that relationship. This section will include a brief. This would go in the next section. Here you would sometimes have a sentence that summarizes this. According to strategies, inclusive. So it looks like you're working on best practices and strategies. And there's a good use of the different levels, teacher-directed strategy. So you're doing a good job going through all of these. In another study, and again, the more specific you are, in a study by, this is really nicely done. Now, peer-directed strategy, in this strategy, in the peer-directed strategy, since that's not in the sentence, but the title there, the heading there, in contrast, there you go. There's it, compare and contrast. This is really nicely put together here. Limitations of the studies. All the studies? Again, limitation of the studies by so-and-so and so. A little bit more specific. Only one study included low-income students, which helps us understand what? Small sample size. You can do studies with only one student, so as you proceed along, you'll see different ways to judge that. Further research, program implementation on whole group instruction. So this looks like what you're looking at within the existing framework. So this looks like what you're looking at project, which would be, I think, would work for you. Instructional strategies, conclusion. save a little few words there. You don't need to say conclusion again. It's well written. It's well put together. I think it's a great foundation. I hope my feedback's helped you to consider things. You're in good shape to continue.